been taught, just brush it off, go to the next edition and you'll be okay. So in 2018, I went about creating my own company called The Musical Mentor, and I set to work to try and change the industry. And I went into dance colleges, I showed my workshops, I did one-to-one coaching, and I really felt like I was making a difference. And I really loved watching people enjoy their craft again. And that's when I knew this is what I'm here for. So in the last 7 years, I have since had 2 beautiful children, taken myself out of the industry, and I've focused on my mentoring. And I really love to see people just walking into a room, coming out of the room and saying, oh, I really enjoyed that. And that's the bit. It doesn't matter if you get the job or if you don't get the job. It's about doing what you love and finding your passion. So since then, I've been doing my morning routine, I've been really enjoying it, and having 2 children has definitely taken me off the beaten track to doing my morning routine. And about a year or so ago, I actually stopped doing it, but not even realising that I was. And life got really, really busy. Kids were growing up, hubby was working away, and I was spinning all the plates. And if there's any mummies in the room, we know how hard that is. And about 8 months ago, I found myself in a hospital bed with no use of my legs. And it was one of the most frightening moments of my life. And the worst part of it was that my son had to go through it with me, because when I was driving to his swimming lesson, I started getting flashing lights in my eyes, numbness down my face. I literally thought I was having a stroke. And I was like, okay, must get to swimming, still thinking about somebody else. And as I got out of the car, I collapsed. And my poor little boy had to go and try and run for help, but he didn't want to. He was so scared, he didn't want to leave me alone. So what transpired was I was in hospital for 7 days, having all the tests. They didn't know what it was. And it turns out it was 2 main things. It was burnout and stress and my hormones. So my hormones have been playing a huge part in my life. And as we've gone on in the last 8 months, we've now put it down to I'm premenopausal. So that's what's been happening, together with all the stress and not looking after myself. And this is what I want to talk to you about today, is that we forget about ourselves so quickly. And although we like to think we put ourselves first, do we actually put ourselves first? Because when I went back to the crux of what I was doing, I'd forgotten how to do it. Everything else became more important. So when I came out of hospital, I went on a really huge healing journey. I found my morning routine again. I found holistic approaches. I then went deeper into my spiritual practice, and I just reconnected with myself. And I'm so proud of myself after the last 8 months that I'm standing here with you today. My business is back blooming, my children are amazing, and on the 15th of January I will be going back into the musical theatre world. I will be performing once again, doing what I love, and I know that being back in the industry, I'm also going to help so many more performers as well, because I'm going to be in there doing what I love and showing them how they can get the joy out of their career. And I'm also going to be launching a new singing duo with one of my best friends, the West End Voices, and just singing because that's what I love and that's what brings me so much joy. But what I really want to focus on is that the morning routine was the one thing that got me out of that really bad place when I wasn't getting the jobs, and then it got me out of that place when I completely lost use of my legs. So I want you to think about, what do you do in the morning? What do you give to yourself before you give anybody else? Because as I'm sure we've all heard, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So what do you do? How do you replenish yourself in the morning? Even if it's just having a cup of tea that's hot on your own for 10 minutes with one of your animals, with a book. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to look how you think it should look. It just needs to be that little piece for yourself, that calm, that replenish, so that when you go out and give your energy to the world, you are already full up. So I just urge you, give yourself that time in the morning. Love on yourself before you love on anybody else. Thank you so much for listening today. I'm done.
Well done. She's like, I'm done. And then she just say that she was in a theater. Like, how many? Okay, we're gonna leave that alone. So the way I usually do it, and when I'm in the States, is something I have something called the power. Thank you so much, so much, so much. I'm gonna bring you up in a little bit, but not right now. So I have something that's I call the power hour. So a power hour is a crazy, like, it's like, I don't know, you want to call it speed dating, it's just crazy. So it's a round robin. So I'm not gonna come up and introduce everybody. So after the one speaks, then you just come on and just start talking. I know, just follow suit. Because it's like, I find that when things get drawn out, you lose. You lose it. So when the momentum is high, let's rock it.
I mean, we love hearing your voice though, Carolyn.
And I can talk, but it's not about me today. It's about all of you. So, but what I wanted to do, because I know we have the schedule, so we are going to follow it as best as we can. So, what you're going to hear after my voice, for one of the last times, Haley, you'll hear it now. So, there's going to be, I know it's Wendy, followed by Risa. I know, right? Followed by, and maybe I'll come up every now and then because we might be like, who's after that? Because I know we can't take too much information. So,
just say it, we'll remember their names.
So we're going to start with Wendy, and then we're going to go right to Risa, and then we're going to skip and go to H.E.R.
What I do is I help women reclaim their life and rebuild their life after experiencing a major loss. A little bit about my story, my background is, I didn't wake up like this a few years back. I do remember waking up on the bathroom floor. Remember my throat burning, my teeth hurting, and my stomach, the pain in my stomach was just unbearable. And I remember laying there just to feel the coolness of the bathroom floor in my cheek. And I remember wiping my nose, and there's blood. And all I could think is, God, this is a bad one. Hating myself. I kind of raised myself up on the toilet, and I stared straight into that stupid toilet that had the mixture smell of like chlorine, bleach, and vomit. And it was a smell I became so familiar with. And hating myself, I just like wiped the corner of my eyes, and there's blood there too. I remember thinking, when you purge the food you ate so hard and so much, you don't only throw up blood, but it comes out of your nose and the corners of your eyes. The way you feel by yourself. See, at first I used my eating disorder to not only control my body and my weight, but all of life's circumstances around me. It was the one thing I turned to when I was sexually assaulted at 19. It was my comfort and my control when someone took that control away from me and used my body for their own pleasure. It was the one thing I turned to when my kids were growing up and they didn't need me as much. And I just, what about me? It was the one thing I turned to thinking, gosh, if I could just be prettier, if I could just be thinner, maybe my marriage would be better. And it was the one thing I turned to also when our finances were getting tough. And I was thinking, how are we gonna make it? The one thing I thought I had control of actually had control over me. And as much as I wanted to, I couldn't stop. And my health was taking a toll. I wanted so badly to look into that mirror and smile at the person staring back at her, and I couldn't. And don't get me started on this damn scale. Sometimes I'd step on that thing 34 times to see if I even deserved food, because that thing defined me. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to feel love. I wanted my kids to stop growing. I wanted my marriage to be better. I wanted my finances to be better. I wanted to be skinny. I wanted to be noticed. I just wanted to feel. Anybody felt that loss of control? It's not easy coming out of it. I remember the very next morning, I woke up to a very beautifully handwritten note from my daughter. And it said, "Dear Mom, I love you and I believe in you, sometimes more than you believe in yourself." Shit. She knows. She knows what I'm doing. It was the one thing I didn't want my kids to find out about. And I sat and I read that note and I'm thinking, God, please help me. I want to be the mom I need to be for these girls. I want to make them proud. I want to make myself proud. Lord, please help me overcome this. And I prayed that prayer with such conviction that day. However, it was a prayer I had said many times before. And it was crazy. As the months passed by, my eating disorder was slowly becoming a thing in my past. It was a hurdle that I've been dealing with for well over 10 years. And funny, as life has it, my marriage started getting far, far worse. Far worse. Sex was a thing of the past. There's absolutely no communication. The tension was unbearable between the two of us. I couldn't figure out what I had done wrong. And everything I tried to do to make things better seemed to backfire in my face. I was so frustrated. And then November of 2020, my husband was hospitalized for a week. At that point in time, it was a week break I so desperately needed. And he was sent home with some simple antibiotics. And as the holidays came and went, 3 rounds of stronger antibiotics later, he wasn't getting any better. And he's becoming someone no one recognized anymore. With constant calls to the doctors, with the doctors, telling me, "Oh no, he'll be just fine, he'll be just fine." And I'm thinking, if this is fine, I really want out now. Because I didn't sign up for this. And yet, I so desperately wanted the life that we had created together, the businesses that we had created, the family, the memories. I wanted those good times back so badly. Crazy. I don't know how you can do this. Love someone and hate someone all at the same time. The frustration in that was overwhelming. February 6th hit, and they finally admitted him because they were realizing that he was not getting any better. With every conceivable test known to man to run on him, you name it, things I didn't even know existed, like try it. February 22nd hit, I got a phone call. We have no idea what he has. There's nothing else we could do. You can come pick him up, basically is what I was told. So I picked him up on February 22nd, and on March 1st he passed away. He had aged over 30 years in a span of 1 month. So, I had thought that I had overcome one of the toughest battles of my life, that of my eating disorder. Sorry. So that of my eating disorder. Now I am left faced with 5 daughters to try and make sense of the stuff medical science couldn't. To try and make sense of a mess I was left with that I had no idea I was about to encounter. And to make sense of promises that were given that never existed. I so badly just wanted to close my eyes and wake up in a different way. And I couldn't. So as time has it, and I'm trying to really do whatever I can for these girls. The businesses we had were sold without me knowing. We had a partner in the business, and he just took everything from us. He basically, I was told, "You're just his wife, so you're not entitled to his portion of our business. So the business is sold. We had no life insurance. We had no savings left, and we also, at the time of his death, our partner stopped our health insurance. Ever see what it cost for a 1 month stay in the hospital? It was tough. So as the bills are piling up, I was here left thinking, do I pay the house payment that's months overdue? Or do I buy the kids food? Do I pay the electric bill? Do I pay the gas bill? I'm like, how did I get here? How? And why me? Why am I going through this? This is not fair. I'm not signed up for this. So with the business is gone, I had to sell our family home. We had a gorgeous 5-bedroom, 5-bathroom house. We had an in-ground room. We had a grand piano. We had it all. Gone, just like that. How could anyone lose everything all at once? And why me? Why me? I just kept asking why. And I don't know if you guys have ever gone through anything like that in your life. Like, why? Why is this happening to me? At that time, and as I was going through things, I'm realizing I don't want this life, what I'm going through right now, to define me. I'm gonna stand up and do whatever I can because I wanted to prove myself. I desperately wanted to show my girls in my bank account that the world messed with the wrong woman here. That was one thing that I wanted to prove. And as I started overcoming, just taking the little steps, one, the mindset change, the different little things that you do in your life. And what ended up happening is I started realizing that I'm creating a system for myself to get me out. And as I was crawling out of that, my mindset changed, my finances started getting better. I was able to start seeing things in my life get better and better and better. It's a vibration you put out, right? That good old saying, the worse it gets, the worse it gets. Well, yeah, that's the vibration you're putting out. The better it gets, the better it gets. You know? And then I started asking myself, like, what are my dreams? And I'm sure yours probably asked that too, like, what are your dreams? I had to realize, I had to make a goal. I had to set some plans. I had to do some things for myself to, like, get myself out of here. And then I had to ask myself, what does success mean to me? And what does success mean to you? And whatever it means, I hope you don't let it jeopardize your character. Because sometimes you could do that out of pure desperation. And I didn't want that. I mean, life isn't easy and it isn't fair. And my life will never be the same. And maybe through some of your guys' experiences, your guys' life will never be the same. But life's not meant to be lived that way. And I'll tell you what, when I started putting out the better vibration, when I started really in my head mentally changing, realizing that everything that I want to come in contact with, I'm gonna make sure it's for the better. It's for the positive. And as I started doing that and started growing out of it, oh my gosh, I was able to get a house back for me and my daughters. What a great feeling. When you all of a sudden have nothing and have to completely rebuild from the ground up, and you start realizing where your life is going, it is the most amazing feeling. And that's why I did start my program for reclaiming your life, just because you can, no matter where you are at in this life, overcome it. And you can make your life whatever you dream possible. And that's just it. What are your desires? What are your dreams? Because life is truly amazing when you jump in, break a sweat, get uncomfortable in pursuit of your desires. And that's exactly what I did. And I know that each and every one of you guys have gone through some stuff in your life, and each and every one of you guys can have the absolute desires of your life. I know that. I love you guys, and I'm on this journey with all of you guys, so thank you.
Your environment, your environment. I was maybe 15, going to university when I found out that my mother and my father were trying to make it, that the marriage was working, and I grew up in a Filipino traditional family, and as an Asian, as nation and woman, it's you don't just prove yourself. You have to double work hard to prove yourself. There's a lot of stories that I would like to share, especially when Caroline approached me with, I'm a very emotional person. But then I thought to myself, what's the one thing that this man, even men and women, have in common? And as I've gone through the changes of my life, I come to realize that I was using excuses after excuses. And I realized that we don't actually get what we deserve. We get what we accept. So my name is Lisa, and I'm 41 years old. Most of you guys, when I came to Scotland, said, no way, you're only 25 or 26.
Right? Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. But during those moments, even when people were trying to be nice and complimenting and celebrating me, I was still in doubt with myself and still trying to question, trying to find my place, if I really belong. And I realized that the one thing that I always use, that I cannot make it because I'm Asian, because my English is not good, or maybe you don't understand my English, it's the same reason why I can. The same reason why we should all succeed, because, as I said, we don't get what we deserve. We get what we accept. And the common denominator of, I'm sure that all stories that you will hear from today is that we all have to experience hardship in life before we have to decide that, fuck, I'm sorry for the word. Roll out, there's a word, that we're just gonna make it through. We have to get through this, right? So I wrote this, don't blame your cultural upbringing, because all through my career, trying to make in this industry as a speaker, as a coach, I was using my cultural upbringing, I was using my background as an excuse and as escape that I don't think I belong. But I always see the pattern that I see myself, the only Asian, the only Filipino, the only this. And I said, I'm going to not see it as an excuse, but as a power. That because I'm Asian, I can succeed. Because I'm petite, because I have black hair, because I have this different accent, I can succeed. And I'm sure it will resonate to all of you, because sometimes we have that thing that we use as an excuse, as a patch, as a glue, or as something that it feels right and it feels correct to say, because no one really knows what you're saying. Like sometimes when I started speaking, one of the speakers said to me, most of the speakers' mistake are like, I have to be prepared, I have to say the right thing, I have to be impressive to people. But in all honesty, they don't know what you're saying. What you say on the stage, what the people see from you, is every individual's interpretation. I always love this. Life is 10% of how we live, but 90% of how we think. And I always see that every situation, because the message, if I say something that I've come across to you on a text message or on like a messenger, that come across as angry, as blunt, those words don't mean anything when I sent it, but when you accepted it and you received it with anger, with jealousy, with it, it's you interpreting the message that you got. So if there's one thing that we will all get from all of this, like from Thursday that the ladies were here, from the Friday that I met all of them, it was amazing, and from Saturday and today, is that when we are interpreting things in life, it is your own responsibility, your own action, your words that you have to take care of. Aside from that, that's all. It's like self-love, the morning routine, when you get up from the bottom to up, it's all your responsibility, because everything you say, whatever it is that you do, whether you are a multi-millionaire or poor, people will stay same. People will still say things. Why? Because we are all human and those kind of connections. And I pray this that with my cultural upbringing, it's very unique that when I also see men and women try to pride their heritage, I think to myself, sometimes we just wanna, like, we make things up because this is how we know we are, right? And I realized that during the journey, as we all go through this hardship in life, we feel like before we become validated, we have to have some suffering. We have to have some failure and mistakes before we can say that I've overcome. But if I'm gonna be just biblical in all this, when Jesus Christ died on the cross, he said, "It is done." It is done so that people from his year to this point do not have to suffer. But we as a human being, we love to suffer. We wanna feel like we're entitled to suffer. Why? Because we wanna come out resilient. We wanna come out an overcomer, and that's the title that we use for ourselves. And what I notice is every individual comes from every culture. We just take that one thing that will say, yeah, that resonates with me. But there's a lot of stories I can tell you. I was abused by my mother, I was abused by my ex-husband, now I'm married to an English husband. I mean, our relationship was not good, but we're still here, right? Because we have this thing that I think it's called energy and pattern, that we just come to one mistake, one failure, we don't realize it that we fall in the same mistake. And we also have the same attitude when we come again, right? When we overcome all those things. So our cultural upbringing, again, it's not our background. It is our living story where we continuously shape ourselves and that influences the choices that we make. But by embracing our cultural upbringing, we become the advocates for diversity, the champions of empathy, because at the end of the day, by embracing our cultural upbringing, we realize that the future we make, it really depends on how we interpret things and how we want to take things. So, thank you so much for the day, and I've so much fun meeting all of you ladies. I know this is the last day, and I always lose out on the photo ops because I'm leaving again. It's time to check out. Actually, my husband was like texting, but I don't want to ruin the day. So thank you so much for all of you, for all the energy. It's so lovely to meet you, Sophia. Carolyn, it's not Monique's time yet, but since I'm already on the stage, I'm gonna call Monique because she come up with something. And in honor and respect and gratitude for what Carolyn did for all of us in this week, I humbly asking for help because she did not ask for any support, financial support to help in this venue. Great. And so what I said to the ladies, since we is giving